They say the freaks come out at night, or maybe Caden Noonkester was the one that said it. NC State wins the most chaotic game in recent memory, 24-11 over the Florida State Seminoles. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen, or sometimes your second listen of each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Our Friday night post-game live is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That might have came in handy tonight. It also might come in handy when Will Wade and the boys come back from Maui, hopefully with some hardware at the end of next week. But head on over to Gametime today, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONCollege, $20 off your first purchase. Terms, as always, apply. Whew! What a night. My heart rate is still kind of coming down here. 24-11 over the Florida State Seminoles. I feel like we never really play a normal game against Florida State. It's always some kind of scoreagami situation. Just 11 for Florida State. NC State somehow ends up with 24. It was getting a little dicey there late in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to start here talking about Dave Dorn. I was going to say his Manly region tonight was hung for the world to see. The cojones on Dave Dorn tonight was nothing short of impressive. It's that kind of mentality that we've begged and pleaded and asked so many times to see, going for it on fourth down to make the difference in a game like that one. Will Wilson, that's a bulldog. So impressed with him just as a freshman in so many tense moments, just getting it done again and again and again. This kid is unflappable. You cannot phase him. I cannot wait to see what else he can do in a Wolfpack uniform, both the end of this year and hopefully into next year in the future. But Dave Dorn, my hat is off already to you. I know, believe it or not, I do have a hair. I'm not bald. Sorry, Kenton, but I wear a hat a lot. That's a crazy ricochet. What a night. What a night. What a chaotic win. You should feel happy about this win. We're going bowling now for the 6th time in 6 consecutive years. This team went out and earned it tonight. Impressive win, to say the least.
You know, Grayson, this is insane because we all knew that this game was going to come down to Will Wilson, Devin Marshall, and Caden Noonkester, right?
How about that?
We all said coming in that those three were going to be the three. But this is a very serious moment where it shows you when you say it takes everybody to win a football game, when you say it takes everybody to win an ACC football game, that's absolutely what it took. And by the way, Grace is trying to give the offense some love, throwing them an extra 3 points there.
Yeah, my fault.
What they go, you're good, brother, you're good. Hey, listen, it don't matter if you win by 10, 13, or 100. It's all the same win.
Yeah.
But I will say, this was the best performance by our defense all year. Best performance by our defense all year.
It's up there.
Devin Marshall played spectacular football. I mean, and I'm going to say something. People are talking about Dave and how aggressive he was. Hey, DJ Elliott, welcome to the party, brother. Way to finally tell your corners you can play closer than 5 yards to the line of scrimmage. And look what the results were. I mean, Devin Marshall was on there breaking on everything and doing what he had to do to make special things happen. And an onside punt, Grayson. Who could have thought of that concept?
That was one of the most unbelievable plays I had ever witnessed. And at the time, I'm actually like 3 rows up from the field. It happened right in front of me. To watch that ball ricochet off of a helmet, basically all the way back to the line of scrimmage. And Caden Noonkester, you never give up on a play. That is a prime example of that. Runs over to sprint and get the ball back for the Wolfpack possession. I mean, we lost our minds if you were sitting where I was sitting. Unbelievable play by Caden Noonkester. I think unequivocally the play of this game.
Yeah, for sure. And even beyond that, Dave's play calling. This is no more conservative. He is going all out for it because that last fourth down that he goes for there, I mean, year 1 through 12, could you imagine Dave going for that? Could you
No.
imagine fourth and what was it, 6?
Yeah.
4th and 6, and you say, I think, methinks we need to go for it right here. I couldn't imagine it. So Dave Doran deserves all the credit and all the love for showing up in an aggressive and meaningful way in this game. And the players obviously executing at a high level. I mean, Justin Jolie is Justin Jolie is Justin Jolie. At the end of the day, you cover him one-on-one, that's like covering him one-on-none because he's always going to get it done in that situation. And again, defensively, we talked about coming in. This could be a terrible matchup for Florida State because they're great at running the ball and we're great at stopping the run.
Yep.
And so it's even with Thomas Castellanos having a few scrambles that picked up some meaningful yardage there, it did not result in points. It did not result in points, and that's the biggest thing. And then the last thing I'm going to say is this. It felt like I was in Bizarro World, Grayson. You want to know why? Special teams killed the other team.
Made the difference.
2 missed field goals, 2 muffs, the onside and the one that led to the touchdown.
Yep.
Grayson. Now, if you do the math on that, right? The first onside, the first muff punt that ended up rolling back to the line of scrimmage, no points there. Okay, you don't get a point advantage there. However, 2 missed field goals, 6 points there. And then the last punt, you end up getting a touchdown out of that one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Grayson, but is that not a difference of 13 points?
It's a massive difference. That made the difference in this game.
Now, if we win 21-11, if those 13 points go differently, what happens? We lose this football game. So to see this moment happen for us, where all year special teams has been a thorn in our side. We had a kick blocked against Duke when they weren't even rushing. That's how bad special teams had gotten at a point this season. And to see the way it's made a complete 180 in this game, and really, I'm not even sure if you can say it's a complete 180 because it's not like we made excellent plays on special teams. They just gave it to us. They don't know what they're doing. Them boys just giving it out in terms of a win. So, ultimately, I'm always going to take this win. And as crazy as it feels, as defeated as it's felt at some time this season, we're over 5. So you know what that means, folks. Get ready for 8. It's the Birmingham Bowl hates to see us coming. Get ready for 8, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that's a safe bet at this point. I think 8 wins is gonna happen because we got the Dirty Foot Club next week. Maybe not put the cart in front of the horse, but I think we'd all like to believe where that one's heading. But what a win tonight. I mean, the resiliency from this team also late in that game. The Deuce Robinson drive I want to talk about real quick. The Deuce Robinson drive. It was very predictable. I think you reached the point where Florida State had done next to nothing all night offensively. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know if Deuce Robinson has a catch yet tonight. And this is their number one weapon. And then all of a sudden, Deuce Robinson target, Deuce Robinson catch, Deuce Robinson target, Deuce Robinson catch, going all the way down the field, ends up catching that touchdown. I'm like, yep, this game was never over that soon. So the defense, they hung in there all the way back to the first quarter, bending and not breaking. We've talked about that extensively this season, digging their heels in and holding Florida State to a field goal or a field goal attempt, which they missed 2 of those in this game. It's huge. It makes the difference in a game like this one. So I want to give a ton of love to the defense. Specifically, let's zoom that in just a little bit more. Devon Marshall. Yeah. I just want to congratulate Devon Marshall because he made himself some NFL money tonight. There was a ton of scouts sitting up here in the box, and they watched Devon Marshall put on the game of his lifetime. I think it's probably hard to imagine he played a better game at any other point than what he played tonight. I think he had 5 or 6 PBUs just by himself. He had 2 interceptions because that last one at the very end, 2 of them things. Unbelievable performance from Devon Marshall. I don't know if I've seen, maybe going all the way back to David Amerson, a better performance by a DB in Carter-Finley Stadium. It's been quite a long time. So Devon Marshall, my hat tips off to you, but also Assad Brown. I thought Assad Brown played a sneaky, really good game tonight. There was a couple times I tried to pick on him using Deuce Robinson, but couple PBUs for Assad Brown as well. So I thought the two DBs in particular, those two, unbelievable night tonight, because you knew we told you on the Thursday and Friday show, Castellanos at some point he's going to get desperate and he's going to throw YOLO balls, and you started to see him there in that second half. They were coming, but Assad Brown and Devin Marshall were ready. They rose to the challenge. Countless PBUs. I thought they played an unbelievable game back there in the secondary.
Absolutely. And here's the biggest deal about what we saw out of these corners. This was better than any play we had seen from them all year.
All year.
All year. You talk about when's the last time we had cornerback play this good. I would probably say you would have to go back to Aiden White against Miami a couple years ago.
Or
where
UNC.
where he just, that thing was done. That it was over and done for. But even then, maybe you could say the UNC game with Tez Johnson, he was playing against a high caliber guy. Deuce Robinson is a higher caliber guy than what,
yeah.
You know,
that's an NFL player.
Exactly. He's an NFL player. And I'll go as far as to venture NFL Pro Bowler. That's an NFL Pro Bowler potentially because of the size and the movement and all that. And we saw it tonight, right? We saw the size, we saw the movement, we saw the ability from him to make tough catches. I also want to credit DJ Elliott for not listening to me. When I said, hey, bracket that young man all night long, he said, nope, Devin, that's your man. You and him slow dancing all night long. Every play, go up to the line of scrimmage and say, Mr. Robinson, may I have this dance? Because it's you and him, mano a mano, and he did a fantastic job. So ultimately, I got to give Dave and I got to give Elliott all of their flowers. And even Roper towards the end there were some calls that ultimately you cannot do anything but say, that's a great call. That's a great call. That fourth down call was a really good one. But even beyond that, the idea that we would consistently go to Will Wilson, the idea that we would consistently, every time it was inside 2 yards, most people would say, oh, that's stupid. It's a 2-quarterback system and your QB1's going to lose faith and lose confidence and all that. I didn't see CJ Bailey look like he lost faith or lost confidence or believe that the coaches lost faith or confidence in him. So, that was a great job there. Ultimately, you've got to just be excited to come away with a win, to come away with bowl eligibility. And now on to the Dirty Foot Club, ladies and gentlemen.
Quick ad break before we go in a little bit deeper into some of the offensive workings tonight. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Friday night post-game live sponsor is Gametime. College football is nearly over, but college basketball is now back, and we all simply could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just simply nothing like it. But let's be real. Sometimes actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. There's endless queues, hidden fees, and prices jumping off at checkout. That's why you need to use Gametime. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. The easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with zero surprise fees. What you see is what you pay for. The app is made super simple to understand, and you can see the exact seat view from the app, a panoramic view, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's way less stressful than any other ticketing platform on the market. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets and college basketball tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. All right, middle portion of our Friday evening post-game live brought to you by the #1 sports podcast network. That is the Locked On Podcast Network. We're past midnight on the East Coast, and we have over 130 people in here. Shout out to y'all, the best fan base in the country. We knew this already, but I want to say something else. We proved it again tonight. I thought the crowd was outstanding for this game. I was looking throughout the week. There was a lot of tickets available, but clearly they got bought up. I mean, there were some Florida State fans, but the NC State fans overwhelmingly outnumbered anything I saw in the Garnet and Gold. We had the student section in the corner where they went tarps off for the boys for about a quarter and a half. You knew at some point it was going to make its way to Carter-Finley, but the crowd tonight was awesome. They were on top of Florida State all night long, and you could kind of feel that it affected the way that some of their offense flowed. Thomas Castellanos, I mean, I've said this many times before. He's not a very sharp quarterback, but he didn't look sharp at all tonight. I told you that he completes less than 60% of his passes, only 50% tonight, and he threw 2 picks. Florida State was not going to be able to beat us tonight if they couldn't stretch the field and throw the ball. With Castellanos, sometimes that's a bigger mountain to climb than it probably should be. So credit to our defense there. Credit to the crowd tonight. NC State Wolfpack Nation showed up because we always do, and I thought it was very impressive. Now, let's talk some NC State offense here. Hollywood Smothers got kind of a get-right game because it was a relative non-factor last week in Miami. 21 carries for 84 yards. Really hard 84 yards, might I add. He was averaging 4 yards a carry. It just never really felt like you could get him going because the Florida State defensive line is very stout. But for him to still find a way to carry for 84 yards tonight, I thought it was impressive. And he mixed in a couple big runs in there.
Not only was that impressive, but the offensive line in general,
They held their own.
There were some moments in pass protection where it's like, all right, you got to get that cleaned up. You got to get that cleaned up. There should be no way that a team is getting home with 3 guys against 5. That just, the math doesn't work out there. However, when you saw, Spike Souls coming off the field with his left arm looking like it's barely attached to his body, and he goes back into the game and makes it happen. Our tackles getting rolled up on some of those running plays and looking like, oh man, are we going to lose Peaker Anderson? They just pop right back up like weeble wobbles, but they won't fall down. They just get right back up every time. It was a special, special thing. And then you talk about what Hollywood did. This to me is the antithesis of what people normally think of when you think of Hollywood. People like to think about him as an outside runner, as a guy that you want to get the ball in space and see what he can do. This was tough, grinded out, inside, 3 yards in a cloud of dust football. 3 yards in a cloud of dust football. It's the area where you would say, I'm not sure if that's the strength of Hollywood's game. He did it. He did it. He just kept his head down and just kept digging. As much credit as we want to give to Will Wilson, which he deserves, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Without Hollywood getting those 3-4 yards and being consistent, being patient, not saying, you know what, I can bounce it. I'm fast enough to bounce it. I can make something happen. I can do, just saying, you know what, 3 is what they're giving me. 3 is what I'll take. 4 is what they give me. 4 is what I'll take. 5 is what they give me. 5 is what I'll take. That mindset and mentality to just press what's available, take what you can get, and go on from there. Despite the fact that you're having multiple 220-plus pound guys landing on you, play in and play out. For a young man that's already banged up, it's guts, it's heart, it's effort, it's Wolfpack Nation. That's really what it is.
I think what's crazy when you're talking about 3 yards in a cloud of dust, what also comes back to mind is Will Wilson. I can't stop talking about this kid. I think now we're reaching the point of the season. It's like, I think we maybe have needed more Will Wilson for the entirety of the season because he's become at this point inevitable. Florida State, there's a couple times I saw them line up and they know what was coming, and it's still 4 yards and a first down, move the chains. Will Wilson, as just a freshman, the core strength to be able to move the pile amongst the trees has been nothing short of outstanding. His ability to still squeak through the cracks, find a way to move the chains has been absolutely unbelievable. It's been pretty unexpected as well. And so I want to give a ton of credit to Kurt Roper for mixing that into the playbook this year. It's probably a very unexpected wrinkle to the NC State offense, but it's been overwhelmingly super effective this year. I can't think of like maybe more than twice where we did not have a positive gain from a Will Wilson Wildcat run. It's been awesome to see. I'll be interested to see how much we use it in the Dirty Foot Club game and now the bowl game, because we've officially earned our way to one of those. But shout out to Will Wilson. Unbelievable effort tonight, getting in the end zone as well. Not once, but twice. I thought he might have squeaked in before his shin was down, but scored anyway. All is well there. Justin Jolie, that touchdown catch to seal the deal, the dagger, the hand strength is something I remember him talking about all the way back to ACC kickoff. He said his hand strength, his inside hands, that's one of the biggest things he's worked on over the course of the entire offseason. And tonight, that work, Justin Jolie, if you're listening to this, it paid off. Everything you work for that moment, the game-sealing touchdown, awesome to see. Another fourth down play call, by the way, some stones on CJ Bailey to float that out as well. These play calls, when the game is on the line, letting them hang. It's so refreshing to see NC State going for the kill, playing winning style of football. Because there was a couple moments in this game, I think we all knew what I'm talking about here. It looked a little turtle-ish. It looked a little conservative. It's like we're not really going to do this right now, are we? But then again, credit to Dave, credit to Roper, credit to CJ and the rest of this offense. They hung them on the table and they got the job done. So all in all, it was a somewhat, kind of ugly night for the offense, but they did enough, and that is what matters in this game. I omitted Caden Fordham when we were talking about the defense. Also, sneaky, really good game. I believe he had 15 tackles. Seemed like anytime that Florida State kind of got things a little bit started on the ground, Caden Fordham was right there to snuff it out. He hit Gavin Sawchuk really hard a couple times tonight. Caden Fordham, we've had a lot of criticism his way this year, and I know this game against Florida State, it means a lot to him because there's some Florida State ties in his family, but he played like it meant something to him tonight. Shout out to Caden Fordham. I thought he was awesome at middle linebacker.
He's going to walk in that house with his dad and his little brother who committed to Florida State, and he's going to say, oh, my God, losing to Florida State, what's that like? Yeah,
couldn't be me.
That's just gross. But I want to talk about Justin Jolie for just a second here. When that pass interference happened earlier in the game, when he was in the end zone, when Bailey rolled out and it was there, yeah. I thought to myself, a Jolie touchdown deferred is not a Jolie touchdown denied, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
It's just going to happen. We're going to take our trip to the Holy Jolie touchdown shop. We just got to wait a little bit longer. Because you talk about hand strength on that play. To me, that play embodied a lot of what Justin Jolie is. But I'm going to tell you, man, I have been so thoroughly impressed. I have been so thoroughly impressed by our tight end room overall. Our tight end room overall has continued to do it. Justin Jolie has stepped up as a blocker now to where he's a legitimate threat to lead certain plays. Cody Hardy, I hope he's okay. But yeah. He had been phenomenal up to that point. DJ Daniels with the hurdle, with the big man moving out there. You know what I mean? It was a really, really great game by our tight end room. And this tight end room really deserves more love. And oddly enough, the guy that coaches them is a guy that I played with back in the day, Gavin Locklear. So shout out to my boy Gavin, also known as Coach Locklear these days. But those tight ends they're playing spectacular football. They really are. And they're a large part of what makes these positive things happen. Right? When you do the Will Wilson runs, what happens? You put two tight ends to that side, you pull a guard around. Which, by the way, Spike Soles, even after the coming out with the arm looking like it's no longer attached to his body, like he had to pop it in like he was one of those old action figures or something like that. He gets that thing taped on up and still leads the way around for Will Wilson to still gain some yardage in very short yardage situation where everybody on the field knows what's coming. Everybody on the field knows, except for against Campbell, he ain't played much. He hasn't thrown the ball much, rather, except for that game. So we all know what's coming, and it still worked. And then defensively and with Caden Ford, we talked about the fact that, hey, they stopped the run well. This team stops the run well. This defense, they stopped the run well. And so we're excited to see what we're doing here in terms of stopping the run. And obviously, Caden Ford was going to be a massive part of that.
Yep.
With some of the injuries that we've sustained at linebacker this year, we knew he was going to have to step up and be massive. He was going to have to be bigger than big in some moments, and he was here. He was. And so, ultimately, this was the defense's best performance. Quick question, Grayson. How many times has the defense allowed 11 or less points this year?
Twice.
Correct. This game and against Campbell.
Yeah.
That's all. That's it. That's it. So to say that you are holding an offense with multiple guys that I believe are going to be in the NFL to as many points as you held Campbell to be +4 in turnover margin, to do the things that they did tonight. And I know that there was a lot of folks screaming, why can't we get after the quarterback? It's different teams have different philosophies around it. It seemed like they were very intent on shutting off Thomas Castellano scrambling more so than
Yeah.
getting to him in the backfield, which
And you live with that.
that's a philosophical difference
Yes.
that me and DJ Elliott will always have, because I'm a believer in, if you got a great scrambling quarterback, you just got to go. You just got to let him rip. Obviously, honor your rush lanes, but let it rip. But ultimately, how am I going to argue with a man that allowed 11 points?
Yeah.
Who's going to argue with him? So great game, great complimentary football. This team, every time you think I'm sick of Doran, I've had enough, he finds a way, and the teams play their best games of the season. They play complimentary football. We get all of these special teams breaks all of a sudden. The moment that you're like, all right, enough's enough here. And, this is just another example of that, because this team is coming out hot.
Freaks come out at night, baby. Nighttime in Carter-Finley. It's always something different about it. And this season has proved no different there. Back-to-back night game wins in Carter-Finley. And guess what, folks? We have another one next week. And it's against a team that you can't wait to see step onto the field. We have another ad break to get into, and we'll round out our post-game live after that. Stick with us after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Friday evening post-game live sponsor is FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next bucket to each and every fourth quarter comeback. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It makes every game more exciting, and especially when your team's the one making the late push. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 back in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game today with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Rounding out our Friday evening post-game live, celebrating a 21-11 victory over the Florida State Seminoles. This is our sixth win, and we are going bowling. And I know the value of bowl games has very extensively diminished, especially in the last 4 to 5 years, but there is something to be said about 6 bowl games in 6 consecutive years, finding a way to grind it out and make it into postseason play. Again, maybe you don't care about bowl games, maybe you do. This team is going to be glad that they made it to one, because there's some special team bonding around that time of year. You start to turn the page a little bit, start building into 2026 now. I think there will be a lot of value of this team making a bowl game, so I'm glad to see them get it done tonight. You didn't want a situation where it comes down to having to beat the Dirty Foot Club next week, even though we feel good about it as is, but happy for this win tonight. I did miss one offensive shout out, the only one we missed, Terrell Anderson. He had a great touchdown catch there in the first half, a one-handed catch there late in the second half that kept the drive alive. Terrell Anderson, I think we have established at this point, he is wide receiver 1. He's been the most consistent, one of the most impressive wide receivers over the course of this season. Pleasantly surprised what we've gotten out of TA this year.
Absolutely. And in terms of what we got out of TA, he has been the leading receiver on this team. He is second in touchdowns, only behind Justin Jolie, leads the team in receiving yards, second in terms of receptions to only Justin Jolie. And, this is a young man that we looked at and we said he could have a breakout year. We looked at him and said, well, there's a lot of different guys that could have breakout seasons. Who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the leader of the pack in that wide receiver room that has a chance to be special? And he has objectively been that guy. He's been that guy in a lot of different ways, right? Even against Campbell, when we were having problems fielding punts there, he comes in and first time he catches one, what does he do? Takes that thing to the house, right? So you look at Terrell Anderson, he's made special plays all year. He's done special things all year. I believe he also caught the long touchdown against Notre Dame as well
And Duke.
there, and Duke. So he's been a primetime player, showing up in big moments when it really matters. And at the end of the day, you can't ignore his impact on the game. But again, it's hard to walk away from this saying 11 points allowed, plus 4 in turnovers. Who could have thought? Who could have thought with what we saw from our offense and defense and special teams earlier this year? If somebody told me NC State's going to score 21 points in this game against Florida State, do we win? I would say absolutely not.
Yeah.
No way. No chance. And yet, not only do we win by double digits. Our guy did the thing. He said that he was going to do something if we beat Georgia Tech, and he honored it. We are not cursed, ladies and gentlemen. Florida State's guy did not do the thing. And thusly, you are seeing a curse upon many generation of Noles because yikes, on a bike. This is rough.
Yeah, and another thing about this game that we said earlier in the week, the dynamic of what does Florida State really have to play for the rest of the season? Do they want this game? Do they want to make it to a bowl? I will say, I think they showed a little bit more fight because I think they kept it close enough in the game that you gave them hope a little bit. I think there was the drive that I think it was after, no, might have been a turnover on downs we forced, or maybe it was a missed field goal. But CJ took a bad sack, like right at midfield. And if we had finished that drive and scored, I think right there, you would have seen Florida State quit. But they stayed alive a little bit longer. But that dagger touchdown to Justin Jolie, you could feel the life just straight like a balloon getting popped. It just flushed out of them. And so I thought NC State, clearly, they were the team that wanted it tonight. And that's something that we wanted to prove to be true. This is a team that wants to finish the season on a relative good note. They want to make it to a bowl. They want to finish with 7 wins, maybe even 8 wins. What do you think that would look like at the end of the year? So NC State was the team that wanted it more. And I'm very glad to see that, especially coming from the top down. Dave, with the confidence and aggression and a lot of those 4th down calls, wanted this game. You want to win. You have to want to win. If you put your car in park and you turtle a little bit, that's not playing to win. And it's burned us countless times in the past. Not tonight. We got aggressive and we earned the W as a result.
Absolutely. You got to give Dave Dorn and his staff credit. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but our old dog is learning some aggressiveness we've never seen. It must have been because, this is the first college football game that they had the coaches on and had the aggressiveness and conservativeness on the scale. And he said, 83%. What?
Dave Dorn saw them tweets. He saw what y'all were saying about him.
I'll show y'all something. And so, he channeled his inner Dan Campbell tonight and continually pressed forward on 4th down. Continually said, you know what? We're going to force the issue. We're not going to let the clock beat Florida State. We're going to beat Florida State.
That's right.
Which is something that we saw multiple times and has given us all PTSD. We still all wish we could go back and change that senior night against Boston College, the Zay Flowers game, because it was the thought of, well, the clock is going to beat them, instead of saying, no, we've got to go do it. If we want this thing done, we've got to go do it. So ultimately, I give all the love and reverence to Dave. I give all the love and reverence to Elliott. Roper, you got some things you need to figure out. But even offensively, I don't think it was a bad job. I think that there was some plays left on the field.
For sure.
I think that there were definitely some plays left on the field offensively. But, again, DJ Elliott, go ahead. Go ahead, brother. There were some edits that were about to be dropped that are no longer on watch now. They're I'm just going to tell you, this team showed up, showed out, got the win, and now the one win a year that if you tell Wolfpack fans you're going to go 1-11, but you're going to get one game, we all know the one game we picked. We all know the one. And that game is coming up here. That game is, I can't wait. I cannot wait to get my hands on the target. I can't wait.
I tell you what, winning tonight is such an added bonus as you turn the page and get into rivalry week. Such a better feeling to enter this week with a win because now you get to really rev it up. The Tar Heels have had nowhere close to the season they thought they'd have, and we are now tasked with making it even worse in Carter-Finley with the lights being bright. Bring it on. We're ready for it. We cannot wait. Hollywood Smothers had Bill Belichick as the dartboard. I'm sure that'll be thrown around probably 100 different times on the internet this week. Welcome to Raleigh, Bill. We've been waiting for you. You better buckle up, buddy. It's going to be one hell of a night in Carter-Finley Stadium. I'll tell you something else this win also helps with. Watching Will Wade on Monday. The Maui Invitational will tip for the NC State basketball team on Monday. It's the premier tournament of Feast Week. Make sure you are tuned in. It should be appointment television. But that will do it for us tonight on Friday night. Our post-game live, a 21-11 victory over the Florida State Seminoles. 6-5 now. We will be going bowling. It's a good feeling to pick up this win tonight. Much needed. They went out and got it. Smiles for all. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We will catch you on Monday, which will be a Victory Monday. We love the hell out of those things. We will see y'all then. Thank you all so much. I know it's late. It's past midnight 30. That's 12:30 translation. And so many of you are still in here with us. Thank you. We love you. Go Pack.
Go Pack.